Everybody. Hey, this is Darren Williams with 12 More Keys with another episode of Chop Talk. Now, if you don't know what Chop Talk is, then I definitely encourage you to go check out some of our other videos. Now, we have another very special guest in the house today who you don't want to miss. A very gifted musician in music and in film, as a matter of fact. He's also a great producer. Now, but before we get into this, do me a favor, please. Hit that like button and please subscribe to this channel so you don't want to miss any of the content or interviews that we have coming. And believe me, you don't want to miss anything. Now, with that being said, come on, y'all know what it is. Come on, let's chop it up.
Hey, I'm Red and I'm here to talk about practicing improv. And so I know that's already a mouthful. Like, how do you practice improving things? And we all want to improv. We don't want to get to the jam session and don't know what to play or don't know how to solo. So how do you practice that? Like, I've got a couple techniques that I think are pretty cool. The first one is to realize that like you are your best teacher. I know we practice, or sometimes we have private teachers and we practice with them and they'll give us pointers and things like that. But realize like you're with yourself all day long, 24/7. That means every day you're with yourself. And so learn how to learn from yourself. You got to realize like what it is that you're really good at and the things that you need to improve on. And that's not a weakness. That's actually a strength to realize what it is that you need to improve on. And so when you're approaching how you practice things or what you're going to practice, focus on that. I think even as a kid, one of the things that I did all the time was practice what I was already good at. Like, I don't want to sit down and not sound good, but that hindered me from progress. And so what's really important is to realize that, hey, I'm not so great at this. I'm not so great at minor skills. I'm not so great at even sight reading. And use that as your basis for what you practice. And so with that, what do you practice? I know, we want to jump deep into the melody and learning songs and, we want to play the fast solo, but without having technique behind all of that, then it's for naught. So you want to practice technique. You want to practice just major scales and minor scales, because what that does is, first of all, it gives you a basis for your body to get used to your instrument. You got to develop the muscle memory on where things are and how to get around your instrument, and scales completely help with that. Like, you can't kill a deep Coltrane line without knowing how to play major scales and minor scales. So you got to get the muscle memory behind your instrument, and like, how do you get around that and what's comfortable. You may even develop a good fingering for yourself. I even learned this from a video, which is Jaco Pastorius' method of playing major scales. On an electric bass is 2/4, 1/2/4, 1/3/4, and I can play every major scale just by going up and down the neck. And so that's really, really big for me, because when you're going through fast chord changes, you don't have time to think all the time. You want to just be able to get through them and to get from chord to chord. So having the muscle memory to do that kind of thing is like super, super, super important. So yeah, practicing scales is, I know it may seem kind of elementary, but boredom is the first sign of complacency. So you don't want to get complacent on like not doing the simple things, because you got to be able to do those well to do the deep things. So
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, this is D Will with 12 More Keys with another episode of Chop Talk. And we got on the line today my man, Darrell Campbell. Is that right, Campbell?
That's right. And that's crazy because nobody ever says my government name. Everybody knows me as Red. So like
better known as Red, though. Yeah,
there it is. Like,
yeah.
Darrell is my dad and my son. Everybody knows me as Red. So
That's cool. That's cool. Like, I know. So as soon as actually every time we see somebody out playing, oh, do you know who if they say your name like Darrell, like, I don't know, Darrell.
yeah.
Oh,
Red. You know what's real funny is somebody I met somebody and I introduced myself as Red. And they were
Uh-huh.
like, I gotta call this guy Darrell first, but I'll keep your name. I'll keep your name. I'm like, that's me. Like,
Right.
wow.
You
I'm
should
losing
just
gigs to myself at this point.
right. You should have just let them call you. Like, oh, okay.
And that
Hey,
guy
yeah,
Red
didn't
ain't
I just
nothing.
talk to you?
Yeah, that guy Red ain't nothing, man.
Oh
Cool,
man,
man.
what's going on with you, bro?
Everything is great, man. Life is
Yeah,
good. Making noise, having fun, man. I got no complaints, really, man.
yeah, yeah,
God is good, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
This guy is a virtuoso. Every time I see him, I remember the first time I actually had a chance to hear about you was through a mutual friend of ours, Levi,
Okay. Yeah.
and it was a project that he was working on for his brother's his song he did for his brother,
I mean,
and and then I think when I came over, I dropped a part on there, and he
okay.
was telling me all the people that was on there. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, you know. And then he told me who you were, but I had never met you personally.
Okay.
But then after that, I saw you downtown at a function. It was something downtown Detroit,
Okay.
and you were engineering. And I was like, wow, I said, I think that's my man, you know.
Yeah, that was me. You know.
Right. Then after that, I saw you gigging for the famous hot sauce. I was
Like,
like, oh yeah, I knew who that.
man, the hot sauce days, man.
Oh man. And speaking of them, dude, I wish y'all could do a reunion, man, to talk to the Johnson boys. That y'all
But you and I both. I want to say that. Okay. Look, if I could, if there was a time in life to relive, man, that would
oh
be the hot sauce times.
oh
Yeah.
man.
'Cause
Y'all were like
it was more than it was more than just playing, man. It was
uh,
eight great saved men together, like on one accord. So like we would have Bible study and rehearsal.
wow, wow,
Literally,
okay.
like I mean, and it just had that support from man to man, like
Yeah, yeah,
relationships going, and we all ended up getting married, and it's like we,
yeah.
we had that kind of bond and just talk about that kind of. Some rehearsals will literally be we meet at Tim Hortons, and the eight
Uh-huh.
of us will be sitting there talking about stuff and going over scriptures and like,
Well,
well,
that's what's up.
we got a show to do in a couple of days. Well, let's talk about the set list too while we're here. Like, so yeah, man, that was a great time of life, man.
Right. Yeah, y'all were like the snarky puppies of Detroit to me.
I'll take that. I'll take that, man.
Yeah, yeah, for
You take
sure.
that.
But anyway, hey man, listen. So usually I just talk about the musical journeys of everybody that usually comes on the show. So, tell us a little bit about man how you even got started in music.
So it's kind of wild. So, I started producing when I was 11, which is a
Wow.
cool and like the story is kind of cool and not at the same time. My dad is an engineer and guitar player, and
Okay.
he had a band down in the basement. I sat on the stairs and watched them all day. Like I just watched push every button. I mean, we were already, kind of dipped in music anyway. My dad played, like I said. And
Okay.
so I watched them all day. And at night he was like, well, go ahead and play with the stuff. And I plugged everything up the same way I saw him do. And we had reel to reel tapes. That's how, back in the day,
Yeah, yeah.
reel to reel tapes. I rewound the tape back, spliced it a little bit for myself, made myself a space, and I did like a whole demo, like in 2 to 3 days. My
Wow.
dad was literally amazed, and I ended up recording over some of their stuff. So it was like, oh man. And then after that, my dad started getting me my own stuff. I had a 4-track recorder after that, had, access to the keyboards and stuff. So my dad just kind of like, my parents just kind of like let me do stuff, let me
Okay.
do stuff. And then after that, it was, I started rapping, making beats, and me and my cousin had a little rap group back in the day.
Oh, that's
Um,
what's up. At
yeah,
11? Wow,
yeah,
that's
at 11.
awesome.
I literally did a full that summer. I came back to school and everybody was talking about all the stuff they did. I was like, well, I made an album. Like, was that cool? Or like, nah, I made an album. And so that's how I got started.
Okay.
Went to Cass Tech and then I became classically trained, hung around a bunch of smart guys, stole all of their information. Just
Hey, that's what we got to do. Right.
literally it, man. So, yep, that was that. Graduated from high school, went on tour with the Dramatics. Then tours just started snowballing, and literally, I've been a sponge and like just stealing stuff from people my whole career. Like
That's what's up.
sitting in a room with like Mike Powell, who was a great mentor, and
Oh,
like
wow. Yeah.
he like, you know, I would sit there and be like, oh, what button was that you pressed? And I go home and I'm like, cool, I got that EQ too. Like I know how to do that now. And you know, him, Marcus Belgrave was a great mentor.
Wow.
I got some super smart friends, like I said. They went off to college and then they
Okay.
still be the bass player. So I would hang out with them and still theory knowledge. And then I'll be, you know, so that's
Right.
it, man. God keep putting me in the right spaces. And
That's
then,
what's up.
the ball coming, I just try to knock it out when it gets to
Right.
me.
Right. Right. Now, so let me ask you this. So is there like somebody in your life, like, I guess that you've met or worked with is you just like, man, I can't believe I'm actually sitting down with this person or
And my friends at this point, like they are some John Dixon, Chris Johnson, Nate
Oh
Wynn,
wow. Yeah.
even Levi, like man,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude, I mean, just to name just those three. Chris was on tour with Count Basie as a 20-something-year-old.
Wow.
Nate got his degree from Berkeley, and I'm like, I'm in the room like with y'all
Yeah.
guys hanging out and you know being cool. And so like literally, my friends are some that are great influences.
Good.
But like even like I said, Mike Powell was like doing sessions, man. We were doing old Aretha Franklin stuff before she passed, and we did Yolanda Adams Christmas record together. I've done
Uh-huh.
stuff with Eminem now, and like
Wow.
I'm telling you, man, God literally, God
Yeah.
just keep lining this stuff up, and I'll be like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess I'm qualified to be here, and I, you know, share my 2 cents. So yeah, I'm really thankful. Not just those names, but like everybody, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, like, and even like I said, I started at 11. When I got out of high school, man, I wasn't great at this stuff. Like, I don't feel like I'm even great now, but like,
Oh man, whatever, dude. But go
no,
ahead.
I listen to some of that stuff, and I'm like, how did I get away with not EQing this at all? There's no kind of, but my friends let me try stuff,
Uh,
and my dad let me try stuff. So I'm grateful to have been in the room with them to let me try. And like,
mhm.
I hear those mixes, and I'm like, ain't no piano showing through. Like, and I'm like, y'all just let me put all kind of reverb and stuff. And we're like, let's put the album out. Okay, so I am really grateful for all of that.
Yeah, that's what's up.
For
Yeah,
real.
I think that's one of the things that I think people. Well, I know that even I've had a chance to work with you on a Christmas. We did a Christmas concert once before, and
Yeah.
I think people just like work with your personality is just, and I'm sure you've heard this before. Everybody loves your personality, man. You just got that spirit. It's just like
Thanks,
you
man.
you just want to be cool with everybody.
I
Everybody want to be
do.
cool with you.
I do. That was the thing in high school, man. I want to meet everybody. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I just want to be cool with people. Like,
right.
I do. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, yeah, for
Thank
sure, for
you.
sure. Hey, man. So do you think that being in the music business nowadays, like when you were coming up, do you think that like how it, I think just technology, and since you've been doing this, how has that kind of impacted you from when you first started to like where it is now? Because I mean,
I,
I I was just looking at, I don't mean to cut you off, but I was just looking at something, and I'm not going to say the name of it, but I was looking at something where you can just drag and drop stuff. And I'm like, wow, I mean, you just taking all the learning out of it, all the stuff that people, producers and engineers have learned over the years.
yeah.
Now I said, but you do that, and then what happens is if you go to a studio or something and they don't have that, and you don't know the basics of that, you're gonna
Yeah.
be screwed.
Okay, so I got a funny thing about that. So I'm old enough to have been on both sides. Like I said, I started on tape, and now
uh,
everything is digital, and I can work a big room, a big studio,
mm,
and I can teach, you know, just basic garage band type of stuff too.
uh-huh.
About so my son is 14, so about, I don't know how many years ago. It was years ago. I'm in a session, and a lot of times I got hired to do sessions because I could play, but I still understood hip hop. I grew up. I
Mm,
didn't actually didn't grow up in church either. I grew up on like R&B that side, and I got
right.
saved. You know, so anywho's, I was in a session to play parts because the producer couldn't play. This is a big producer though,
Wow.
and
Wow.
so I learned because I was one of those kind of naturalists like y'all can't produce, you ain't, you know, all you pick the same sounds for everything.
Mm,
One thing that I first of all recognized and learned to respect is that they got a skill set too. Like
mm-hmm.
these guys in these hip hop sessions, and we'll try to do it with our we got major 9s and 11 and sharp 13, and they get on thinking, and you're like, man, that feels good. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
keep it simple. And I
Mm.
learned to respect that. And it's actually something sometimes we can't do. We can't simplify stuff sometimes.
Yep.
We too technical and too jazzy
Yeah.
and like
Yep.
so to say I literally see and respect both sides of it now, where
Mhm.
the analog had its thing, but these new school guys with this drag and drop, there is a skill set in
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it is luck. I'm not gonna okay.
Yeah.
I just take a drag thing and like, oh, I didn't know that was gonna line up. All right, keep it. You know, like I've seen that too.
Right.
But there's for me now, just I have a level of respect for both sides now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think some of those mistakes can turn out to be gems for
they
sure.
do. I've seen another big producer. I don't know if you know like how people record stuff like on them MPCs, and
Hmm.
you would have to MIDI them and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I've seen another big producer. He MIDI something and loaded the wrong bank. And was like, these ain't the right sounds, but man, that sound good. And we end up layering the right sounds on top of the wrong sounds. It's like that was kind of fat. Like
Yep.
that turned
Yep.
out right. So,
Yeah. Yeah, for
uh,
sure, for sure.
yeah.
So I always called you the musical virtuoso because I know is it I know when I first seen you play, you playing bass.
Uh-huh.
And then I saw you at another live recording with Kira, and you were playing keys. I'm
Yeah.
like, I didn't know he could play keys too. Like,
Oh,
that's what's up.
and my
So,
first instrument is really drums. So like
wow,
that's the
wow,
first
okay.
the first instrument I ever played.
Uh,
I don't do that, but I do it in the studio now, but nowhere for real. Because drummers got all these chops in it. I hold a pocket.
right,
Um,
right, right.
but yeah, I play keys at church. I minister music at my church too. I play organ there. I got I got one of the Johnson brothers with me there too. So Eric is on main.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what's up.
I love it. But I started playing bass in high school. There wasn't no bass players around. Everybody had
Mhm.
all these bands. It was like 4 keyboard players and somebody playing bass part on keyboard. I'm like, just hand me the bass. I'll go figure it out. And so I bought a bass. There was a church, one of my good friends named Maurice O'Neill,
Mhm.
saw me in the high school, saw in the hallway at high school. He was like, "You play electric bass?" I was like, "Nope." He said, "Man, my church will pay you $200 to play Let the Praise Begin by Fred Hammond." I said, "I'll go buy a bass for that." I bought the bass and played Let the Praise Begin. It was like, all right, now give me my $200 so I can pay for
Right,
the
right, right.
yeah, man. So that's how I started on bass, man, in high school, and
That's
that became my primary because wasn't a lot of bass players around.
That's what's up, dude. That's what's up. Hey, dude. So let me ask you. Well, first of all, I did see you on the news
A
uh,
couple days ago,
doing something for the city of Detroit. I'm like, wait a minute, that's Red. So
yeah.
I saw you on the news. I was like, he's doing something for the city of Detroit. Now, what was that about?
So that's two is twofold. So I do summer camps now, and I do after school programming for schools to get like music programs in their schools, where they don't have where they wouldn't have the means to before. So
Okay.
doing after school is a whole lot better for me too, because I don't have to mess with the school day and all that, and I still don't have any degrees. So that's a way to get me into the school. And it's
Oh,
like
that's
basically a mentoring thing that I do at
okay.
a lot of different schools. I'm actually like creative jazz director for Detroit Symphony Orchestra too. I've got my summer
Wow.
camp with the union. And so what that is just, my way of not just giving back, but what I actually really, really love to do. Like
Yeah.
I like kids, and being that person like Marcus Belgrave was for me, give kids these opportunities where,
Mhm.
I can connect the dots for them, so
Okay.
yep. So
Yeah.
that's what I do know, man.
Okay.
On top of still playing and producing, but that's my
Okay.
that's my real thing. I
Gotcha.
love teaching. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Any projects coming up?
My own stuff.
Okay. Okay.
At this age, man, I've done enough music all over the world, and
Uh-huh.
I need to get my legacy stuff out. So I'm putting out more of my own music.
That's what's up.
I did you said with Kira too. Kira's got a recording. Kira Daphne's got a recording coming up. And I did help write some of that stuff, and
Oh, okay.
so just putting my hand on all kind of stuff. But like, my main thing now, man, is the legacy stuff. Like I just
Yeah.
want to put out my own music, and let that live longer than me
Right.
and stuff. So
Now, you said you had a son. You got him playing too, or he's doing anything?
same way my dad did. I leave it all out and turn it on.
Yep.
And he does have a good ear for producing.
Okay.
He was a low brass specialist in elementary school, and
Okay.
now he's like into basketball. But
Oh,
it's weird because I was into football
yeah.
real quick until somebody made me realize I couldn't get paid till after college. I'm like brass band guys get paid to leave school in 11th grade.
Say it right now.
And I'm like, I'm done with that football stuff. So yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
yeah.
Hey, man. So I always ask this question: is there like any advice that you would give to somebody that is trying to be an engineer or producer or musician? Like,
Yeah,
what advice you would give to them?
man, it's a few things. One of them is just to try stuff. There's we got all these unlimited resources. Like I said, GarageBand comes free on a computer, and I mean, we got all of these programs that you can download. But I'm like, try things.
Mm,
And in trying things, find a way to stand firm on what it is that like you want to say at that moment.
mhm.
Put it out. Don't even sit on it. You feel like it's good at them in that moment, put it out. Quincy Jones said one time, a good album is a snapshot of all the things that are happening in your life at that moment.
Wow.
And so, like, sometimes I feel like we'll write stuff or we'll create stuff or produce it and
Mhm.
then overthink it. It's like, oh, it's not as good as this, or it's not as good.
Mm,
Like, no, but
mm.
that was authentic to you at that moment.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
and no, you might be a better singer next week, but last week you sounded like that, and
Right.
you need to document that so
Right.
that the next thing can be the next thing.
Right.
So I'm always like, try stuff and put it out immediately.
Right.
While you're
Right.
growing, put it out, and it turns into this. You end up meeting amazing people like you
Oh,
in my
whatever. Yeah.
20-year journey now. Like I've been doing it 30 years now, but I'm like in this journey, like you end up doing this. You
Right.
cross paths with other people. They remember stuff that you did back in
Right.
the day,
Right.
rather than you sitting on all this stuff like it ain't good enough yet. Or I need to polish this. I need somebody else to. Nope. All
Yeah.
you play is triads. Doggone play them triads until you
Yeah.
learn some extensions. Shoot, Pharrell is doing it. I mean, like
Right. True that. True
I told
that.
myself I wasn't gonna say a lot of names, but there are people doing it though, and
Yeah.
they're authentic. It's their authentic voice, man.
Yeah.
And I just feel like a lot of our predecessors did it, and we get away from that in this perfectionist type of mentality. And 2023, everything's got to be lined up, and like everything's
Right.
got to be perfect, and like it ain't,
Right.
it's got to be authentic.
Right.
And you know
Right.
go paint it with what he had. And
Right.
all these artists, they did with what they had. And that stuff created the Harlem Renaissance, and it created all these
Exactly.
other time periods. Nowadays be like, it's got to be perfect, auto tune this, harmony here, I
Yeah.
can't outsing this person. Like,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
pretty.
You right. You right. I'm actually working on a project now with a friend of mine, and it's that kind of element. I'm like, it sounds great to me, but
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
if you would have keep adding stuff in there, but I'm like, okay, this
you can do that forever,
right.
man. There was Mike Powell said this. So sometimes I would play something and I know that I meant to do something else, but my hand slipped somewhere else. He's like, oh no, that's perfect. Don't move, don't change a thing. And it turned into a slide or something. Don't change a thing. Like, but I meant to, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
It's authentic for that moment. It was a response to what I heard
Hmm.
based off a vocal or a drum fill or something like that. Like, you're right. It is what it is.
Right.
And that authenticity. I just made up a word. Authenticity is what makes us who we are, man. So
Yeah.
you
That's what's up.
said another name earlier too that I gotta, man, Ryan Baker.
Oh,
Ryan Baker,
yeah.
Levi's brother.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him, it literally I always say if I got a chance to tell that story, and it feels like one of those times. But Ryan is literally responsible for. I can't say Ryan responsible for my salvation, but he was one of the first people that I'm like, was a real cool dude and saved. I'm like, you
Oh,
cool
okay.
and you saved. And we got cool, and he put me on the Dorinda stuff,
Oh, okay.
which really like solidified me or made me legitimate in the gospel circuit. Like
Oh, okay.
I wasn't doing nothing big before then, but
Oh, okay.
had some songs I wrote for my church praise team, and Ryan Hurt was like, I'm gonna walk these into Dorinda. End up being her single. So now I'm gonna walk
Wow.
the gospel and all these other things, and like it's because
Yeah.
there's other cool dudes. So like I need to tell that story 100 more times.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a great testimony, dude. You know,
Yeah,
so you never know the impact people has left. You know, they
yeah,
could say something or just like you said, just being that who you are. And
yeah,
and that's what's up. That's
yeah,
what's up.
yeah. That was a good dude, man.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yep.
Well, Red, hey, listen, is how can people get in touch with you if they want to do something, if they wanted to like do some recording, if they just want to get in touch with you, just want to send you a chat, whatever.
I thought you were gonna say a check. I'm gonna say
Oh,
every time you want to send me a
well,
check.
they won't want to send you a check.
No, yeah,
Like, put it in the chat.
I'll give y'all my cash app and all. But my website is www.meetredonline.com. All one word, Meet Red Online. And I'm always available there. I try to keep stuff updated, but I'm not amazing at that. But it does lead to all of my socials and things like that. There's an email, keep in contact kind of thing. But that's the easiest way. Like, Snapchat's gonna go away one day, Twitter's gonna go away. My email will still be the same, and you can just reach me right there. Like
Okay.
meetredonline.com.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, brother, I appreciate you taking out the time, man.
I appreciate
Hey,
you, dude.
man,
I don't look. I don't take this kind of stuff for granted, man. You can ask all kind of people. You can sit and talk to yourself on here if we want to. Like, so I appreciate you reaching out and asking some questions, man.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. You've been one of the people I've been wanting to target for a while. I was like, yeah, I gotta get Red on here. I know he had his hands in a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah,
So
I
I was like,
appreciate
yeah, so I appreciate that time, man.
it.
Listen, everybody, thank you for another episode of Chat Talk, and we'll be talking to you. Peace.
Peace.